Hey you, come on, sit down. You're sitting at the grown-ups table. I'm your host, Jesse Pimpinella, and we got a special guest today. Please give it up for Nigel, everybody. Yeah!
It's me. I'm Nigel.
Nigel, good to see you. Good to see you, man.
What's
Wasn't
going
sure.
on?
Did you want your background still blurred?
It's all good.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
If he starts running around, I'll blur it, but he's
we,
chilling.
we don't know if you're in witness protection. We don't know what's going on, man. I'm just trying to keep your privacy. That's all.
All good. All
That's
good.
all. Just in case there's illegal activity happening, I'm just trying to
This
protect you.
this way I can keep an eye on him too.
There we go. That's smart parenting right there. But anyways, so I'm very excited for today's show because, and I always love these Halloween shows because they just give me a reason to watch horror movies. And this week was no different. This weekend was no different because it gave us me and my wife a perfect rewatch of amazing horror remakes. Some are bad, some are good, some are just like, whoa, what the hell's going on? And then, and you threw a couple of good ones out there at the beginning of the week, so we were having a
Yep.
lot of fun with that.
Yep.
So one of the things for you, when you think a horror remake, when you think a successful one, what's the first one like? You're like, that one got it right. That's the way a horror remake should be. What's that? What is the staple of that? And I invite everybody to comment. What is your successful staple of remake horror? What's yours, Nigel?
I go back a little ways. My successful remake, I really enjoyed the remake of 13 Ghosts.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I also felt Dawn of the Dead, the 2004 Dawn of the Dead was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that was
there's a couple others. I wasn't a huge fan of Hellraiser.
nah.
House of Wax. House of Wax was good, despite Paris Hilton's inclusion.
Yeah, that
Um,
was the early 2000 where, like,
mhm.
I think it was like from 97 to like 2005, where I think every Hollywood memo was like, we gotta have a smoking hot person here. We gotta get us some bimbos, because it felt like that for a lot of movies. Like, there was just always someone hot.
Right.
The gratuitous, we're gonna see boobs, we're gonna see and again, like I said, that's just kind of what horror was at the time. I mean, that's just the way it is. But anyways, yeah, no, I remember that. For me, at least, if I were to like pinpoint what I felt was a great horror movie, and I'm gonna give my divisive one. I'm gonna get because there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. I can
Okay.
honestly say Night of the Living Dead. I thought Savini did a great job with that. I could say one that's friendly, but I want to kick off the I want to kick off the show with this. I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to explain the show, and then we'll go back to it. So everybody, lose your shit right now. Get it in the comment section so we can comment on it.
Now's the
I
time.
loved Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake. I honestly loved it. I thought it was so good. Dare I say, I would rather watch the remake over the original. And I mean that. I know there are so many people, so many chainsaw heads are hating me right now. And that's fine. You are in a perfect place to hate me. You're allowed to hate me. All right. I'm going heel here. But I'm going to be honest with you. I dig it. It did something for me. Now, I see you're holding back, Nigel. Nigel, what is
No,
going on?
I don't entirely disagree with you. I think it was a great remake. There's one scene that anytime I think of the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre that sticks out in my head is the scene where the woman is running out of the house and Leatherface catches her right as she gets out of the doorway,
Yeah,
and so
yeah, yeah.
he's got her, and she's like her arms and legs are sticking out in front of her, like she's just barely touching freedom, and then he drags her right back in. And that scene stuck with me more than a
That's
lot of the other
iconic.
ones. Yeah,
That
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
that's iconic. I mean,
Yep.
don't get me wrong. I don't hate the original. I don't want people to think like I hate on. I think the original is. I think the original is great. I think what sold it for me, and I'm going to say this real quickly, and we'll get back to it. But because I got to explain the show. Is R. Lee Ernie's role? I think really is what made me love the remake so damn much. The drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket. His inclusion in
Hmm.
that movie was, I think, what made me go, whoa. But real quick, so let's talk remakes real quick. So, what is a horror remake, people? So, we are not talking about reboots. And what's the difference between a reboot and a remake? Reboot. Think of it like you're rebooting your computer. You're not getting a new computer. You're restarting something that's old, but you're putting something new on top of it, new software. Great examples. J.J. Abrams' Star Wars movie. We're building upon the classic trilogy. Remakes are a complete denial of OG timeline. It could be a reimagining. You're starting it all over again. You're doing a full Big Bang. Rob Zombie's 2000, what was it? 2007 Halloween. Like I said, it has nothing to do with any of the past movies. It is completely devoid.
Halloween's been rebooted twice, I think.
Oh, Halloween has been rebooted. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because Halloween was rebooted technically with in '87 with Halloween 4, technically with H2O in '98, and then technically again in 2018.
2000, yeah. I was just thinking of 2007 and 2018. There are two more. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. No. It's been rebooted, and people like Halloween 4. Does that really count as a reboot?
Was H2O a reboot? I thought that was just like a 20 years later kind of.
It erases the 4th, 5th, and 6th movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it erases it all. So the new timeline is Halloween 1, Halloween 2, and then it goes H2O Resurrection. That's the new timeline.
Whichever one had Busta Rhymes. That's the one.
God. You want to be on Danger Entertainment? Dude, I love that. I love that video. Dude, he kicked ass. It's a shitty movie. I would rather, here's the thing, as shitty as Resurrection is, I would watch it over Halloween Ends any day of the week. Because at least it's awful, but it's really entertaining. It's really entertaining. But, so anyways, Remake, it's trying to continue the OG timeline. It's trying to bring it back after it's been gone for so long, and nobody has, like Scream 5, or how they had it styled as Scream, is a reboot because it's been 10 years since the last one? What was it, 10 years or something like that? So you need something to bring it back and have some familiarity in there. So, like I said, not doing reboots, remakes, totally devoid of the original timeline. And we're talking horror movies. So if you got one you want us to talk about, comment down below, like and share. Let's get started. So the first one I started with was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. Now, real quick, Nigel, I know we kind of tiptoed what was your thoughts on this remake? Do you feel like it was a good remake, a bad remake, or we're like, whoa, way out the window?
I felt like Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, the 2003 version, was very true to the source material. I felt like it had the same heart the first one did. So imagine telling a story, the original came out in 74. You tell a story with, you've got your limitations of what you can do in movies in 74. Now we're, 30 years later, and you can tell it again better, more efficiently. And it held that heart, and I think they did a great job with the remake in 2003. Absolutely.
And Michael Bay, this is the time where he was, because it was Platinum Doom, they were remaking everybody. They remade Friday, then they remade Nightmare. Like this was the golden age for him. It's crazy to see one producer kind of nail down all those movies and it not be a cinematic universe, which nowadays that's what it would have been if it had happened today. But I think this movie was great, and I think it capitalized on stuff that I really liked about the second movie, which was the inclusion of the family a lot.
Right.
The family was because the family is so interesting. Now, what is the family? Depends on the timeline. In this case, I think it was the Sawyer family. I believe it was in this timeline.
That sounds right.
So because depending on what you're watching, the last name changes. Like when it comes to timelines, I think this movie might have the most remakes and reboots out of all the ones we're going to talk about tonight. I think because you had the first timeline, and then you then you had. Oh, we're not going to get into it. Trust me, it's very deep. I went into this years ago with.
Have you played the game at all?
Yes, man.
Yeah.
I wish they had the second game. I want to play this Chop Top.
It's nice. It's on Game Pass, so I've been trying it out.
Dude, I love that game. And it's so funny. Like, my wife is learning about how mean game people can be. Like, they're awful.
Yep.
Like, I'm playing it, and then she hears them, like, everybody's insulting me because I suck. Because, like, okay, I'm great as the hitcher. You put me as the hitcher, I'm getting jobs done. Okay. But you know that rule where it's like somebody has to be Leatherface. And if someone is not Leatherface, the round doesn't start. So there's sometimes I'm like, all right, I'll take one for the team. I'll be Leatherface so we can get the round started. And I suck as Leatherface. I suck. And everybody's like, look at stupid Leatherface. just so now when I'm watching movies and they're like being mean to Leatherface, like I start sympathizing for him. I'm like, oh man, he's doing his best. He's just trying.
What was his crime, really? Just being tall and shy.
I mean, if you look at this movie, I mean, technically, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a home invasion movie. Okay,
that's right. He's the victim.
He's the victim. Because last I checked, those teens were like, you know what? I'm gonna go in this house that I have no right to be in, and he exercised, and that's why he dragged the body back into the house. He was like, nope, can't touch the ground. He knew the stand your ground castle laws. He's like, can't touch the property, can't touch the property. You're mine. You're mine. What I love is like just I wish in the video game, and this is so awful, and there's a reason why you can't do this because it's just so blatantly offensive. But there is a character that's not in the game, but he was in the first one, and I want to play as him. Nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to say it, but we all know we're missing a character.
What would your objective be if you were that character, Jesse?
Oh God, I would become the best at him. That's what I would be. I would be unironically the best at playing as Franklin. There, I said it. Franklin. I would be amazing as Franklin. Plus, I feel like I need to make up for all the times I killed the wheelchair kid in Friday the 13th, the video game. Because like he was like, if I was like down points, I was like, all right, we got rein in the points. I know my wife said ableist. I know. Yeah, my wife is disabled, so I can say that. She's like my black friend with ableist people. Fuck you. She said, "Fuck you." Okay, so there you go. Yeah, I'm sleeping on the couch. Anyway. Yep. So yeah, no, this movie is great. The video game was amazing. I love the video game. Who do you like playing as?
You mentioned that you don't like playing as Leatherface. I do kinda, because I'm weird, but I also like playing as who's the oh shoot, the guy with the knife. Is it the hitchhiker?
No, Hitcher, yeah.
Yeah. I could go either way, but I feel like I have more success just blindly swinging a chainsaw.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I love playing as Leatherface. I know I'm going to dominate as hitchhiker. That's all. I just know I'm going to go to town. Like, and I feel like when I'm going to get better at Leatherface. That's my goal. My goal is to get better. I don't like to be the father because the father I feel like is going to have a heart attack at any second. And then he uses his bat hearing to hear people and stuff. But anyways, that's a good game. Let's see who else is here. Only the comedian can say the shiz. Yep, damn right. Let's see what else. The third movie was a good remake. Was that a remake?
I think he's saying Texas Chainsaw Massacre like 03, like 2003.
03. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. I good catch. Yes, I thought it was a great one. I even liked the sequel, The New Beginning. I liked how they kind of showed how they took over the town. Yeah, I mean, like
with a chainsaw.
Yeah, like the father was just like, "Oh, I'm the new cop now." I love how he got right into his role because like the woman's cooking the dinner and calls him by his first name. He's like, "No, you can't call me that anymore. I'm the sheriff." It was good, and so. That movie, like I said, I think it brought something new. It built upon the lore, and with the update to graphics and the violence and stuff like that, it brought something new to the Texas Chainsaw lore, in my opinion.
It was new and it felt faithful. It felt like a movie that was made by someone who loved the original. Which, with a lot of these remakes, they don't always.
No.
So
Sometimes
I like that this one did.
watching a bad remake is like watching someone you love get fucked by somebody you hate. Like that is the best way I could describe it. You know what I mean? That's the best way I could describe a horrible remake. Speaking
Yes.
of which, let's
What?
let's go.
Oh,
Let's
what
just
movie
go.
does that remind you of that we're about to talk about?
All right. Well, I would say it's this one. This one didn't try to do anything. The director was just like, let's just totally. This guy was like, you ever have that in school when they're like, you can copy my answers, but make it look a little different so nobody thinks we did the exact same thing. I just love how
Right.
he was like, let's do the exact same thing. And I was so bored by it because I felt like there was nothing to innovate in the movie. Because the purpose, from what I read in interviews, he said the movie is in black and white and no one's into black and white
Right.
movies. And I was like, that's kind of a bullshit thing. Because now there's some movies that are made in black and white on purpose now. What would you think of this movie? What'd you think of this?
Uh, was this the one? It was Vince Vaughn, wasn't it?
Vince Vaughn, yes. Which I'm mad that
Which
he
was
did Vince Vaughn.
an inspired choice of putting him in that role because he was only a like a comedic actor up until that point. I don't think he had a lot of serious roles.
No.
Um,
I wanted him. Here's what, honestly, I wanted him to have a scene with him and his mother. Like, I don't know, maybe am I going to kill her? Am I not going to kill her? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe she's gonna think. Maybe I bring her home to mom. I don't know. She's
right.
phenomenal. Like, I just want him to do that overthinking thing he does, and I think I would love that.
I liked the remake of Psycho. I had forgotten about that one until you said it just now. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm starting Ninja Turtles for my son.
No, you're good. You're good. If anything, that's a great reason. That's a great reason to help. Because is it the Shredder's Revenge?
No, it's there's several. It's not the Rise of the Ninja Turtles. We don't like that one because it's too weird.
It's
the one before that. Sorry, no, Psycho. So Psycho, to me, I saw that one as well right around the time it came out. That was back when Blockbuster still existed, and I think we rented it on VHS. I enjoyed the remake. It felt, and if you liked it, forgive me, it felt like an homage from like a film school. It's like a film school project.
Oh,
Where it
it
was
very
like
much
some
feels
kid,
like
it's
that.
like some guy's thesis where it's his end of the year final, and he's got to remake a classic movie for a grade. He did a great job, but that's what it felt like.
That's yeah. I
I
feel
don't know.
like that was my problem with the movie. It's like I did a good job. I did the exact same thing. You can't hate me.
He
And like
did
I
the
don't know,
exact
like
same thing, and it didn't bring anything new. So it's just like here you're watching the same movie again.
that's what frustrated me. Like I just
Yes.
felt like I'll just watch Hitchcock's. I'll just watch Hitchcock. But because like I don't know, like I wanted something a little new. I wanted something, but it just I don't know. It's like when they adapt a movie about Jesus and then the director's always like, I just did what the Bible said. You can't
Yeah.
hate. And it's like, no, it's like take some creative liberties, stuff like that. And I know some people are like, wait, creative liberties with the Bible? They built the Bible. They built the Bible. Remember that? That's a factual thing. I'm Catholic, so trust me, I went to school for this. I know where the Bible came from. All right. If you didn't pay tuition for a free education, fuck out of my face. All right. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that book.
Oh my
God. I'm just being honest.
A reimagining of the Bible.
Oh, well, they kind of are doing that right now. I mean, there's that new TV show I saw. It was like an ad for it, The Chosen.
I don't know.
They're like, it's like everybody in Jesus time, but talking like us. Obviously, they're not cursing and saying there's boobs everywhere. They're not.
Jesus too, Electric Boogaloo. My God.
Exactly what it is. Let's go over here. The remake tried to use some of Hitchcock's camera techniques, which didn't work. I didn't hate it, but the original is the best. I mean, that's how I feel. Like, I don't think technically this movie wasn't bad. Technically,
it's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
It's just not good enough to warrant replacing the original.
Exactly. Like, it's not like, okay, so here, let me bring a movie up that I felt like it was in league with the movie. Hold on, I have two choices. let me see if you and I will think of the same thing. Which movie do you feel that was remade from an acclaimed film that's already called that you feel nailed it?
Right. Like out of a specific set or just any
Out
of
of
them?
anyone. It could be anything we had discussed or before. Like I have one that I think, but I wanted to see what you. I just want to see what your first thought was.
The first It.
That oh yes. Hold on,
So I loved the first one. I did not like the second one. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't like it. It didn't impress me the way the first one did.
I'll tell you why you didn't like it. You want me to tell you?
Please.
2 words. Gary Doberman. All right. That guy cannot write horror. I'm just gonna say it right now. He can't. Everything. See, my wife doesn't like that guy. Look at his IMDb page. He had some good starts, and then he just kept joining into different projects for like sequels, and then tanking the movies. Like he's one of the
Did he do the
reasons,
first one also?
he did the first one, but he had other people around him to go, Gary, shut the fuck up. We're not doing that. You know what I mean?
Got
But the second movie, he was all by himself, and that
George.
was
So it's George Lucas syndrome.
yes. Like that's exactly what it is.
Got it.
Like, come on, let me just throw out some Gary Doberman movies just so you understand like my frustration. And maybe this is just me. I need to get off my soapbox when it comes to horror movies. But like he joined in with the Annabelle movies and just messed that up. He joined in with the Nun movies, and he messed those up. Like he just keeps joining into franchises, and like he's the example of the guy I hate fucking the girl I love. You know what I mean? Like that's the best way I can describe it. Like he's a good writer if other people are watching him. As soon as you say no, Doberman, he's actually remaking The Last Train to New York. Right? And do you know what that's remaking? The Last Train to Busan.
Oh my God. Why?
I know.
That movie Last Train to Busan wasn't that long ago, was it?
I know. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good movie. Read the subtitles, you idiots.
That's the zombie one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great movie. If you haven't seen Last Train to Busan, it is a great movie that does something entirely different with the zombie franchise, with zombies, but doing the same things we like. You know what I mean? Like it was like, ooh, there's something new here. All right.
Right.
And they're just doing The Last Train to New York. And I'm like,
watching Last Train to Busan to me felt like the first time I saw 28 Days Later.
You said it.
It was it had everything I needed, and it was a great ride from beginning to end.
It relit the fuse on zombie movies for me. It relit the fuse. Damn right. Absolutely damn right. But yeah. But going back to It Chapter 1, you know what I mean? So It Chapter 1, this is a tricky, like it's a remake and an original adaptation of the books, but it kind of remakes the first TV series because the TV series was just the first part was just kids, and then the second part. But in the novels, my wife has told me it's very much
it goes back and forth a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. They pretty much remade the formula, which I think that's how you had to do it. And the guy who did the TV series, Halloween Season of the Witch, he did that one.
Okay.
Yep. But anyways, yeah. So what were some things you felt in this movie as a remake dominated? What did this do right? What did you feel add to the lore of the original?
I felt those kids and their fears and their actual, like, it showed the terror from the perspective of the only people who could see it, which were the kids. It showed that there was just something wrong with the town. And if you go back, there's plenty of YouTube videos you can find examples where they'll show you all the little subtle background things, like scenes that are like seemingly innocuous, and there's like an evil person standing in the background the whole time that it's not focusing on, so you may not even see. But you just feel uncomfortable, and you don't necessarily know why. And the movie does a great job of that. I've seen the miniseries multiple times. I've read the book. I think I read the book like back in high school. I listened to the audio book a couple months when I found out they were making the new movie, I went and listened to the audiobook just to get a refresher,
Mhm.
um, which was its own adventure.
Yeah.
Jesus. Uh,
It's like a few thousand pages, if I remember. It's
yeah.
like it's a dense book. It's not a the reason why the movie had to be two parts, and some argue it needed to be three. Some people argue that.
There's so much stuff cut out from both the miniseries and the movies that you forget how heavy the entire story is.
Mhm.
There's a lot
Mhm.
of just dark stuff that does not make it into the movie or miniseries.
My wife and I, we used to do a segment on Bride of Pimpy that was pretty cool, where because she reads a lot, so we did it with Halloween Ends. She read the novelization of that, and then we talked about the movie and how the novelization improves on the movie, but still is a piece of shit
No.
story. Still pretty. It's like it just does a little bit of this. It's like
I mean, if you polish a turd, you're still holding poop.
yeah, exactly. That's what it was. That's the best way to describe the book. And so she would tell me, so she's told me a lot that they had to take out. And like, I get it. And there's some stuff that just can't translate to the screen. And that's because from what my wife has explained to me, it's a very like Lovecraftian and like
Mhm.
Lovecraftian, you can't really describe. It's something you have
Right.
to imagine based off a description and but and some people can make Lovecraftian something visual. I mean, there are people on this list we're going to get to in a little bit that I think are phenomenal at doing that entirely. But anyways, any last words you want to say about it, chapter one?
Not chapter one, just how disappointed I was with chapter two. That left a bad taste in my mouth.
Sounds good. All right, okay. So now that let's talk about a movie that completely took the whole car apart and put it back together and gave us almost an entirely different movie. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with this movie, Maniac. So okay, so yeah,
Which
so
one's
this
that?
okay, so the first Maniac was made back in the I think it was the 80s. Yes, it was made back in 1980. It was done really guerrilla style. It's an exploitation film. So essentially, Frank Zito is an Italian American serial killer residing in New York City who murders and scalps young women. And that's the whole movie. And then this movie was it's really hard to watch. I mean, and they didn't have permits to do some of the stuff where they did. Like, I think they did a scene where they shoot someone in the head in the highway, and then as soon as they shoot it, they like in real life they all had to drive away immediately before like cops showed
Oh
up.
my god!
Like that's how guerrilla style we're talking. So basically, the
Who was in
movie.
this? Who was in this? Anyone I know?
So the guy that's in it, his name is what is it? Joe Spinell. He wrote the movie along with somebody else, Joe Spinell.
Okay.
It's a very low budget movie. I don't think a lot of people have seen this. This is I mean because the director was known for pornography. But what made this movie so good is that it helped launch the careers like Tom Savini, who was previously in other movies with what's his face, George Romero, and all that stuff. This is kind of like him. This is him in his heyday because at the same
Oh
time,
yeah.
Tom Savini got Friday the 13th. This is like that core time where he's getting everything he wants. You know what I mean? But so here's what the new movie does. Alexander Aja does it. So this movie instead is entirely done in the POV of the main character. Entirely. The
Okay.
whole movie. Elijah Woods is the killer. All his POV. They strap a camera to his head. That's the movie. And you would think like, oh God, that sounds boring. It's not. Because like there'll be times he'll be sitting across from a girl talking, and all of a sudden you'll see his eyes glance down at the knife. You'll just see the camera glance to the knife and back. And you're like in his head, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? And like you kind of see this indecision in him, and just the camera work did so much to explain who his character was.
Now, is it from his perspective, as in you're looking through his eyes, or does
Yes.
he have a camera and he's recording what he's doing?
No. You see through his eyes.
Okay. Okay.
You see through his eyes the entire time. So like Imagine you and I are sitting across from a restaurant, right?
Mhm.
He's with a girl who's obviously is the victim, his future victim. But like he'll be staring at her, like the camera all of a sudden will do this. It'll just be like because he was looking at the knife real quickly because he's getting
Right.
hurt, and it's just stuff like that is so jarring. And like there's one scene where he's breaking into a hotel, and you'll know he's breaking into a hotel until you start seeing all the stuff he's doing. Like he's grabbing the keys, he's warning somebody about something. You're just like, it's like you're sitting on his shoulder and watching everything he's doing, and you
Right.
can't control it. You can't stop. You can't yell to the woman, "Get the fuck out of here! You're gonna fucking die."
Right.
It's a great movie. It never got an MPAA rating because the original one didn't. So to honor it, this one didn't either.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It reminds me of there's a similar kind of not the exact same, but have you ever heard of Spree with Joe Keery? The guy who
Ooh,
played
I that's on my list to watch. Yes, I it's
it's
very much like that from what people
it's very
describe.
similar to that. Yep.
Yep, it's very much that. That's what everyone tells me. But
Nice.
yeah, no, this movie, like I said, for me, it took the whole entire car apart, put it back together, and it looks like a different vehicle, drives it better. I feel like this one was an improvement upon this movie because this movie was kind of like an exploitation film, but it got
Mhm.
popular because it was during that time video nasties were out, which I
Mhm.
always love that name, video nasties. For those that aren't familiar with that, those were films like in UK that were just banned. You weren't allowed to have them. You weren't allowed to own them. It was illegal to have them. And this is when they were prosecuting horror film directors. You know, they prosecuted Sam Raimi. They prosecuted,
The old Faces of Death
yeah,
movies, that kind of stuff, where it looks so real that they're
mhm,
trying to prosecute the creators of the movie because they think they're actually killing people.
yeah, like him
They're
alone.
remaking that. They're remaking Faces of Death.
Oh, I heard about that. Who's doing that one?
That's a damn good question that I
Oh,
don't
hold on.
know the
Faces
answer
of
to.
Death. Hold on. I'll look that one up real quick. The Faces of Death. Yeah, no. Let's see. Let's see. Oh God, that's yeah. That was another 1978. Holy crap!
The
It's
original,
crazy.
yes.
Between 75 and like 85, that's when like everything was going crazy for movies. And like trying. I'm not getting it anywhere, but I.
I'm
Oh
not
wait,
either.
wait. I got. Legendary Films has acquired it. Let's see. Right, pretty much whether this will remain. So right now, they're not sure if this movie will remain a documentary or just a narrative with the same name.
Okay.
So that's to be seen. But yeah, no, it's but yeah, no, a lot of these movies are getting remade, and a lot of people, you know, what's that? Tom Balan's, yeah, I have to check
Yeah.
this. I haven't seen it in forever. I'm not gonna, because I gotta check this back out.
I
It's so
mean,
nice when you haven't seen a movie in a while, and you're like, you just remember key moments, and you're like, I don't know how they go together
you're
anymore.
more likely to have repressed that one.
That might be true because I've repressed the original Maniac. I don't
Yeah.
remember the original Maniac. I've seen it. It's good. The gore's great. Was it a great movie? I didn't think it was that great. The remake, beautiful, great.
I'll have to check that one out. That's not one I've seen.
Yeah, no. It's really good. Definitely check it out. But yeah, no. But so with these horror movies nowadays, like so, oh god, what was I going to say? It was about it's in my mind. I can't remember what I'm saying. Anyways, but so let's talk. We're gonna keep going talking about remakes and all this stuff. But yeah, this is a remake that essentially rebuilt the car, made it look new,
Yeah.
and entirely. Now there are some movies where, let's just say, the remake doesn't go according to plan. Some people may want it to go.
Mhm.
Some movies have been remade a few times and they never really hit and all that stuff. One of the
Right.
most famous ones that arguably some people could argue it was good. Some people can argue it. I've heard people, The Wicker Man. If
The
you
Wicker
watch it,
Man is good for reasons other than I enjoy watching movies.
if you enjoy watching Nick Cage go batshit crazy, this is your Godfather Part Two. If
Oh
you
my
love
god.
Wicker Man, if you love Wicker Man,
Avoid.
this is that you're gonna hate this film. You're gonna fucking hate it top to bottom Because
But
this
if you want
film,
to see Nicolas Cage dress as a bear and punch a woman, then this is the film for you.
Godfather Part 2, right here. Here you go. This
Um,
is it. This is
yeah, he screams about bees and honey
oh,
for
that
several
breeze.
minutes before he dies. What's not to love?
Like this is like Batman and Robin, and you're really drunk. Because if you watch Batman and Robin drunk, great film. I honestly, it's a horrible movie, but you'll start laughing at every Mr. Freeze pun when you're
The
drunk.
Wicker Man remake, it plays out like you're listening to a drunk person tell you about the first Wicker Man.
Yes, that's exactly
You
it.
get someone absolutely hammered and tell them to describe the original Wicker Man, you get the new Wicker Man.
That's it. It's so funny. Me and my wife, we went to go see a restored version of the original movie, like footage that hasn't been shown ever. Like you could tell, like there was moments where the camera would clip out, and it's like this ratty ass version of it, and then it goes back to being the clean version we know. What was so interesting about this movie in theaters is how hilarious the first Wicker Man is.
Does the
It's
original have a scene where someone dresses as a bear and punches a woman?
no, no, it does not.
Waste
This
of my
movie,
time.
this movie is hilarious because the whole entire time they're just kind of anti-slut shaming a cop. The whole movie,
Anti-slut shaming.
anti-slut shaming, or the virgin slamming him.
Got it. Oh, like
Yeah.
reverse. Okay.
Yeah, like
All right.
reverse. Like they're like honey dicking him the whole movie. They're trying to get him to come out, and it's so. And I can say this with confidence that it was
Looking for the
hilarious.
bees.
Yeah, I can say with confidence that it was funny because the whole audience would laugh, and only the ones that have seen the movie before were laughing because we were like, "Oh, ho, ho, we all know where this is going. Oh, ho, ho, we all know where this is going." Like we just know how totally fucked he is, and he has no clue how fucked he is. Because
Nice.
that's pretty much like the rewatch value of Wicker Man. Just watching a man pretty much toil away until he realizes I met my doom days ago, and
Yep.
it, like the twist ending when that little girl goes, "Did I do good?" I would have kicked that girl off the cliff, knowing I was dead. I'd have kicked her right off. Like I was literally. I remember watching the first time. I was like, "You raggedy ass bitch." Like she's like, "Do I get a good grade for sentencing this man to death?" Like, oh,
He's lucky he couldn't find his bear suit.
he couldn't find
I'm
it.
telling you.
But we at least we had Christopher Lee in that weird costume. Come on, dance more, dance more.
Any movie with Christopher Lee dancing is a good one.
Dude, that movie was wild. I forgot how wild that movie is with Christopher Lee. He's just so goofy. That movie is like such a good gaslight film. Like it's hysterical. They're like, "Oh, she wasn't murdered. She died. Why didn't you tell me she died? You only asked me if she was murdered." Like they're just such pricks to this detective for like the whole movie.
It's going to be like that, is it? All right. Okay.
And then he's like randomly like just breaking pieces of wood to make crosses and putting them in places. Like, the movie's just a wild movie. Oh, but going back to this movie, so this Wicker Man, so the whole sex death cult thing is kind of gone. It's like, what is it? It's almost like an all woman commune, and instead of crops, they're trying to get honey. And I guess the whole point is they're randomly supposed to bring random people to the island just to kill. Like there's not a direct purpose. There's not like, oh, they have to be a virgin, or it's just like, no, go to the nightclub, show your ass a little bit, bring them back to the island, and kill them.
So it's if you take Nicolas Cage out, you've got Midsummer.
Yes, actually, yeah, and we all know John loves Midsummer.
Yeah, but I love Nicolas Cage, so it evens out.
It evens out. What was it? So I would rather read a book in a wicker chair. He would rather read the It book in a wicker chair than watch Wicker Man.
I mean, if you want to watch classic cinema, don't watch the Wicker Man remake. If you want to watch Nicolas Cage lose his crap for an hour and a half, watch the Wicker Man remake.
and just so people know how often he loses his shit in this movie, that YouTube video where it's like a Nicolas Cage losing his shit,
Yep.
I would easily say that 20% of that video is Wicker Man. like out of a 40-year span career, 40-year span, 25% is Wicker Man. I could be wrong, but I would argue it.
Speaking of that, I remember that video, and I actually just picked up a copy of Vampire's Kiss on DVD at a thrift store. That scene where he's screaming the alphabet at someone.
Yeah.
Yep. I was like, I'll pay $1.99 for that. Let's go.
Again, if they would have marketed this movie as Nicolas Cage losing his shit for 90 minutes, I think it could have done a lot better at the box office. I really do. I honestly, if you want to watch Francis Coppola's nephew lose his shit for 90 minutes, I got a movie for you. It's great. It's great. But yeah. But anyways, so yeah, that was a movie that was not always looked upon as a great remake. Is there any remakes that you feel were not great, did not live up to expectations for you?
Carrie. I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it hit. I think it missed the mark.
Oh, I put the original date. I don't know why I put the original. When was the new one? Was
it? New one was 2013.
2013. And this one has been technically remade twice, if you want to count the TV show.
Oh, nah. So I don't think the new one was necessarily like bad. It wasn't an abomination, but no one looks at it and goes, "Ooh, we needed this as a society." It's just kind of like, you tried.
Yeah, like I felt like with this one, like I just didn't feel like the main character was the outsider that Sissy Spacek was.
Right.
Like I didn't believe it. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, you're just an awkward girl, but you're not. You know what I mean? Like you're not like your hair. You're not coming to school with your hair all greasy, and it looks like you're in a kill cult robe. You know what I mean? Like you look like a normal girl who's going through a normal experience in high school. Like,
there's a lot more weirdos now than there were back in '76.
Yeah,
it's more normal to be a weirdo.
Yeah, and it's kind of like in 22 Jump Street when they go back to school and they're like, oh my god, the nerds are popular. like this. So Carrie doesn't work because. So if Carrie would have came there like in a Catholic schoolgirl uniform in the public school and acted very prude, maybe that would have been the movie. Maybe that could have been it. Because then she would have been sticking out like a sore thumb. Like when everybody's sitting up for the Pledge of Allegiance, she's praying. You know what I mean? Like that. Like you need that. You need Sissy Spacek was good at just being present, but not belonging to any scene in that movie. You put her in any scene with any character, you felt like she did not belong there. And I think that was her strength with Carrie. But the new person, I'm blanking on her name. I felt like you kind of blend in. You don't stick out. It's not painful you're sticking out. And maybe the editing room took away a bunch of stuff. Maybe the movie was metaphoric to maybe to a societal standpoint rather than being a fish out of water. Maybe, because there have been movies where, the editing room will cut everything away and destroy the true message of a movie.
Yeah. And again, it's not like it's bad. It's not awful. It just, it's very unremarkable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing stands out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have John Travolta randomly in the background just being John Travolta. Hey.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have well, yeah. Then De Palma's wife was in that movie. I'm forgetting her name. It was the girl who was trying to help her.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah. She was in Dress to Kill. It was so funny. So yeah, one of the funny things about Carrie, the biggest complaint about that movie is the shower scene in Carrie. They just the critics were complaining about it. They're like, oh, this is just too long and we don't like it. It's just too much. So his next movie, we did Dress to Kill. He did almost a solid just 15 minutes with a shower just to mess with critics. De Palma, before he became the gangster guy in Hollywood, he was just like, he would just do stuff in horror movies and just mess with critics. And it was kind of funny how he would go about doing that. And that's why I think some of his movies are very creative in that nature. But yeah, you're right. This one kind of unremarkable. Didn't really add anything to it. Speaking of Stephen King, this one wasn't in our list, but this might be an interesting one. It hasn't came out yet. They've been talking about Brad Fuller's been talking about remaking Christine. So I mean, so what are your thoughts on that? Do you think? What do you
If
think of
anything,
that?
if anything, it would make sense more now than it did back in whatever 70 year it was made. Uh,
Expand on that. What do you
so,
mean?
the original was it was a car that was possessed by something. A demon probably. I don't remember
It,
exactly what. Was it the
it's a
soul of
demon.
someone that got hit, or what was
It
the?
was. They never clarified it. Sarah mentioned that it was Red Flag. What's his name? Randall Flagg's car. It was Randall Flagg's car. Randall Flagg is kind of like this personification of the devil in the Stephen King
Right.
universes in his books. They don't really, because that's back then they weren't trying to connect the movies necessarily.
Right.
They, yeah.
So back then it was this novel thing for a car to think and to talk and to therefore be evil.
Yeah.
Now my car talks to me. I tell my car to turn on the music in the radio. I tell my car to start the GPS. It makes more sense now to have a car that talks back and can therefore, be
Do you think?
evil.
Do you think that would go into the kind of overdone AI storylines, like the
I
whole?
hope not. I hope
That's
not.
the only thing I don't want to do that because it's like, because I mean, how many times have we watched like a machine, come back and it's like, oh, it's gonna help us. AI is here to help us, and then all of a sudden,
Right.
it's oh,
It's
humans are
like
the biggest problem with
yeah,
humans. The only way to solve humans' problems is to kill all the humans.
right.
Like
It's
what would you say would set up a good Christine? Like what would you say would be, like, ooh, okay, this was worth it. This was definitely, something you could do with Christine and add to the lore.
it can't be AI. It has to be somehow the spirit of an actual person. I don't know. It would have to go supernatural. I imagine
Yeah,
your car's driving. You've got a self-driving car, and it hits somebody,
yeah.
and maybe the soul of that person is the person who takes over the car or something. I don't know. I'm
Wait,
not a
no, no, I like this. Like someone dying of a horrific death. Like there's this idea that like if you die of a horrific death, like you can't pass on because it just hasn't registered that you passed, that you're dead, and you're just trapped in this place. Like repeater
right.
ghosts are ghosts that relive the same night that they die every single night, something like that. So maybe every night that's when the car comes to life. Maybe that's when it's like, oh fuck, I'm on the car now and I got to murder somebody. I mean, maybe I don't know. It's a fascinating idea because like yeah, I do definitely want them to stay away from AI because that would just I think hurt it. Christine could be a Tesla with solar panels on the roof. You know what? It could be,
You know what?
it's driving around. And it's like, get rid of Facebook, use X.
Right. What if let's say you've got your AI, you've got your auto. So like Tesla was the example. You've got autopilot, and it part of what autopilot does is it detects dangers in the road. Maybe it detects a danger, like it just barely misses somebody, or somebody's trying to pull an insurance scam. So the car goes, "That's a danger." And then while the owner is sleeping, the car's like, "I got to go find that danger and eliminate it." And then it kind of spirals from there. The car's not evil. He's just helping.
He's just getting rid of scammers. That's all he's
Yeah.
doing. Or like the guy that tries to wash your windows at a red light, it just clips them.
He turns on the windshield wipers and smacks them.
Like, not today. Just
Nope.
oh no, yeah. Tom Balin loved her in Let Me In. He's talking about Chloe from the Carrie. I thought she was good in that. I thought she was great in Let Me In. Let Me In was the vampire remake. That was good.
Go back a comment to the one about the malicious computer virus. Yes.
Ooh,
Absolutely agree.
okay.
Evil
So
AI overdone, but evil computer virus that's like by somebody, like a person did that. I'm okay with that. I can get behind that.
like I wouldn't mind if it was like someone who learned how to they can make up Hollywood bullshit for this. Take their consciousness and put it into technology. Almost like a tech phantom.
That's the person that was hit by the autopilot. Some guy who's like a crazy tech genius, and now he's paralyzed, and his method of revenge is
Yeah.
making
Like
the cars evil.
he found a way to transcend his biological form and his consciousness can go into machines. Like
All right,
something like
careful, because now you're going full lawnmower man, and you got to be careful.
that. Well, I mean, it's also Stephen King, so I mean, it still works.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's technically, it's in the same realm.
It's fair.
That's fair. I mean, you could, I mean, just say like, oh no, it's just the same thing. I mean, that's what they did with, with the kids from It. They just have The Shining, technically. So, I mean, so we'll just do it that way. And it was so funny. Funny story about Joe Hill, who I love how Joe Hill's like, I changed my name to so people don't think I'm Stephen King's son. But if you look at a picture of him, he's Stephen King's son.
Stephen King's a pretty recognizable dude. He's not particularly good looking.
Yeah, but like you see his son like his son looks like the way he did when he put his picture on the back of Carrie. Like that's what his son looks like. It's
before or after he got hit by the van.
Before.
Okay.
But what's so good about it is those two were writing books separately, and they realized at one point they had the same thing in each of their books, and they didn't know who came up with it first. So they were just like, we'll call it world building. I'll put one of your characters in my book, and then you put one of your characters. They just did that, and they're like, we don't have to figure it out now. So that's how you solve the lawnmower man with Christine. Same world building.
There you
That's
go.
all we're gonna do. Hold on, wait. Somebody or an incel who hates the vain material image and set up by Hollywood.
Okay. Yeah.
I see. It's like maybe so. Oh, I have this. I would say you would have to set the movie back in the '80s when capitalism and materialism was so huge. Kind of like how it was in American Psycho a little bit. Like that same energy with that. That would be an interesting take on the whole thing. Well, right now we're running down to the bottom. I want to get to these last movies. I've been saving them because, for us, they kind of are just their bangers.
All right, rapid fire. Let's do it.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes.
Right? Which fun little fact. This is the one thing I liked about Halloween Ends. The one tiny little thing I liked about Halloween Ends. Mm-hmm. In the original Halloween movie, they're watching the original Thing from outer space. And then Halloween Ends, when they were trying to give an homage, they were watching this movie. So I was like, oh, okay, bravo. That was cool. This movie was so far in advance. Coming out the same year as E.T. heard it because everybody's like, we want cute aliens. We don't want fucking
That's
aliens.
not what this is at all.
It's not. This is the end. And it's bleak as fuck. It was like, no happy endings. No happy endings here, kids. Like this movie is as bleak as it is, but it's so good that way. It's so good. Like the one scene that always gets me, no matter what, and this is why it had to be remade, just because the special effects. When he has the defibrillator thing and he's got to go through the guy's chest, his chest opens up like a mouth and then bites his hands. Yep. Holy shit! That's just amazing. That's amazing.
Looking up. I don't remember who was in the remake.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell's in the original, right?
We're talking. Oh no. That what you're thinking about is actually a prequel.
Oh, my bad.
You're okay. No. It's so easy. The way they do it, it's so easy to look at like that. No. It's because that movie, the way they play it like a hard remake until the very end of the movie.
So then wait, what's the original?
The Thing from Outer Space. I think it's what it's called. Hold on. I'm butchering the name so horribly. I know. Give me a second. Let me pull the name up so I can say it right.
From Another World?
I think that's what it is. Yes. So the original one came
yeah.
out. Yeah. So okay. So it was based off a book in 1938 by John W. Campbell Jr. It was a novella called Who Goes There? That was the first one. Then The Thing from Another World was made in 1951. That was the first movie. Now, what a lot of people don't know is, you know, like how a lot of times people always complain, like, oh man, everything's a reboot or a remake.
Well, yeah.
That's not new. The
Right.
80s was well known for remaking 50s movies. The Blob, you know,
Yep.
that kind of stuff. They were known for doing it. Body Snatchers. So what we're doing today is the exact same thing we did in 1980s. Unfortunately, we're just not doing it as nostalgically great. But then again, time could tell, because this movie technically bombed in theaters, but now it's considered one of the best films of all time.
Right.
But
Yeah,
yes.
I've actually got to go back now and watch. I didn't know that the '78 one or '82, whatever the Kurt Russell one came out. I didn't know that was a remake.
Yep.
Huh? I'm gonna have to go back and watch the original.
Yeah. No. It was like, because John Carpenter was like one of those directors where he was studio and indie at the exact same time. Because this
Mhm.
movie feels so indie, but it's a studio film of property owned.
Was this one of the first ones John Carpenter did? Like, was he just not big at that point? Like, obviously he's huge now.
This is so, if I remember, he did Assault on Precinct 13. That got the attention for him to do Halloween. And then I think this movie was second. I could be very wrong. Let me look at his filmography.
He did Halloween before.
Halloween was 78. And I think he did Fog in 80. Because he did, yeah, okay, I was right. So Assault on Precinct 13 was 76, Halloween was 78, Fog was
Yeah.
80. Wow, he did Escape from New York. Wow, he did a lot of those movies back to back. Dude, from
Nice.
1980 till 1988, he did one movie a year.
The '80s were
Holy
the '80s
shit.
were a time.
Dude, I forgot like he was putting them back to back. I forgot about that. Cause like, I don't know why. I thought Escape to New York was 83, but Christine's 83. Wow. Holy shit. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, no, so this was like still early in his career. Like, so when this came out, like people were like, oh, did he fluke? Was it? Well, you know, because like Halloween at the time was his biggest movie of all time.
Right.
So people were like, oh, did he fluke? It was this. But this movie was a movie that would be later like, wow, it's the best movie. And it is. I mean, it's very bleak. It's very nihilistic. It's just basically, if no one's ever seen this movie, it's that video game Among Us, essentially.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all. It's essentially that with an alien, and the alien creature is so damn memorable. It's so damn memorable. It's just, I think everybody remembers either the head spider, the spider head thing, or the thing where it comes up and it's the head, and it's like just, but it's so, and again, we mentioned before like how some people are good at kind of displaying a Lovecraftian like creature. This is a great example. This is a great example.
I
Because,
can't think of a better one off the top of my head.
yeah, because like I don't think he described it in the script. They just told the special effect guy, like, whatever you think this is, just do that. Do that. So I mean, pretty much that's Lovecraft essentially. Like, I can't describe this. You know, and I thought he did a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
Another movie, next movie was remade by Mel Brooks. It was a horror movie. No one knows that Mel Brooks produced this. A long time ago, Mel Brooks started a company called Brooks Film because he made his comedies under Mel Brooks, but Brooks Film made dramas.
Okay.
So this one's going to blow you away.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mel Brooks. Not a lot of people know this. I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan. He made a lot of serious movies. But the reason why he didn't want to put his name on it is because he didn't want people, because his name was so synonymous to comedies.
Right.
He didn't want people to go see The Fly and go, holy shit.
Right.
Because this movie is, and this is another bleak movie. It's a really fucking bleak movie. The one movie Mel Brooks did was really fucked up. What was the movie with Jessica Lange? Mel Brooks made it. Frances. It was about an actress who was very outspoken in Hollywood, and this is a time when Hollywood's like, we don't want women to be outspoken, so they lobotomize her, put her in an insane asylum, and she gets, what you can imagine. And that was Mel Brooks produced that, but obviously his name's not on that because you don't want people going to theaters going, okay, that was bleak. But yeah.
Yeah, that's like oh god, when I was a kid back in the Blockbuster days, we rented a Jim Carrey movie called Faces in the Mirror, I think it was called. Now this was at the height of like Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber, and we loved it. So we were like, oh, it's a Jim Carrey movie, great. And it was like a drama. It was just slow and emotional and sad, and it was like we're just three kids. Like this is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, no. It's that was like right around like when you do the Truman Show. That's when I feel like he was like, ooh, I can do drama. I'm doing drama. That's what I felt like. That was kind of his start, his descent into drama. But anyways, yeah, The Fly, which another example of an 80s movie remaking a 50s movie. Just want to throw that out there. Yep. You got Jeff Goldblum, Gene Davis, teleportation device gone wrong. Fly goes in because what it does is for anybody who hasn't seen it, you don't really like teleport. Your molecules are taken apart. They're flying in the air.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that same invention as Willy Wonka with the TV.
Yeah, so he's small on the other end.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's exactly that technology, except the fly got into Mike TV's thing, and then Mike TV turned into a fly, which then we'd have seen Gene Wilder with a shotgun going, I'm sorry, Mike. Which you would know he would have done that because OSHA would have been all over their asses if they had let Mike leave. All right, let's face it.
He would have made an Oompa Loompa do
it. He's just singing it like Oompa Loompa Doopity. But yeah. But this is another good movie. I felt I thought it was. I love the whole. It was a disgusting body horror movie, which I mean, this is what David Cronenberg was known for, making these like movies where you lose control of your own body, your own agency. Which Cronenberg was super obsessed with that because I think it was his mother was dying at a young age, and he had to watch her wither away, and obviously it scarred the shit out of him. But this is a good example of somebody who, as you mentioned, who's passionate about the material, and you could see that Cronenberg's afraid of this. You know he's afraid of this because, like, you're watching a movie where this guy's like, I'm afraid of losing control of my own body, and here's an example. It's just like his fingernails are coming off. He's too strong, but then he's like falling apart and he's withering, and it's like it's painful. But also he's a good guy. That's the sad part about it. Like he only gets aggressive because the beast was aggressive.
Right.
Yeah. Like the one scene where he takes the shotgun and goes like that, you're like, oh, fuck. It's another bleak one. Another bleak one. Let's do 2 more fast rounds and then we'll get out of here. Dawn of the Dead, which we talked about earlier in the show.
Yep.
Zack Snyder directed it. James Gunn wrote the script. I thought this was a fantastic one. Like,
absolutely.
Night of the Living Dead had its own remake, and then Dawn of the Dead had its own remake. And
Dawn of the Dead is an interesting one because it's George Romero. His whole thing is, doesn't he have this standing agreement where anyone can make a of the Dead movie or some kind of?
I think that agreement changed because I think they finally copyrighted the first movie. Finally, they finally did it. I can't remember. The agreement was it had to be a sequel to the first movie.
Okay, so as long as the first one was canon, you're good.
Yes. Got it. Because Argento did it with Zombies, or AKA Zombies 2, however you want to call that movie. What was it? What was that? The one with the 80s where it was the first zombie that went brains. It was the horror comedy.
Shoot.
Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like they mentioned the events in that movie. Like, oh, I was on PA and everything went to fucking shit. And, so yeah, that was the rules. You could only do that movie. Then after that, everything was, you couldn't make a sequel directly off of, you know, Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead or something.
Dawn of the Dead 2004 contained a jazzy lounge cover of Down with the Sickness by Richard Cheese that influenced my taste in music for the next 20 years.
Dude, it's
it
so
is
good because you hear
ridiculous.
it and you're like, this is a good song. And then you're like, wait, I know this song.
There was a definite shift in my music taste after that movie came out. It's like, all right, I like weird shit now.
Yeah. I'm that way too. I'm that way too because like I was listening to a song on TikTok someone covered, and it was very jazzy as hell. It was very like 40s, and I didn't realize it was Bare Naked Ladies. It's been 1 week since you looked at me, and she did like
Nice.
so, I'm like, because I didn't realize it was the song until Chinese chicken, like that part breaks down. You're like, holy shit. Dawn of the Devil was fantastic on all levels. Agreed.
Yep.
I think what was so good is this movie retained the humor that the original movies had.
Right.
Like the one scene where they're playing chess with the guy from across the sea of dead people at the other building, and they're holding up the thing like move knight to pawn and stuff like to
the celebrity hunting.
Or celebrity hunting. Oh my god, Jay Leno. Like there is something so human about watching them do that where you go, oh fuck, Nigel and I would totally do that. If Nigel and I were stuck in the mall in Pittsburgh and we've been there for days, we're totally gonna do that. We're so gonna do that. So that's how it is essentially with those movies. But anyways, we are out of time. I wanted to bring this up real quick, and I was just gonna bring it up real quick. Halloween, Rob Zombie. I felt like, hey, if you had to make a remake of this and you needed to expand on the mythos, this is how you would do it. You know, he didn't pull a Gus Van Sant Psycho. He said, okay, I'm gonna do a little bit on the top where we're gonna give evil a history versus leave evil mystery, which I thought was a great idea. Now, I'm not going to get into the second one. The second one was Harvey Weinstein versus Rob Zombie and that whole battle. I mean, there's a reason why Rob Zombie had Laurie shoot Michael in the head. There is a reason. It wasn't what the fuck was he doing? You can't make a sequel. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to avoid the sequel. So, but that's all the time I got right now. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. You guys are rock stars. Roxanne, Tom, John, everybody. You guys were great. Michael, thank you. I want to thank Nigel. Thank you so much for stopping by, man. It was last talking with you.
Anytime.
Spooky horror movies. Tune in next week. We got more stuff coming up your way. We will announce next week's show. I think it's Cursed Objects, actually. It's Cursed Objects. And I think you're also on that show. So I think you are, aren't you? Maybe you're not.
Maybe. I don't know. If I am, you haven't told me yet.
I'll find out tomorrow, but it's Cursed Objects. So horror movies that have these objects that bring about great evil, Ouija boards, demonic dolls, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Tune in for that show, 7:00 next Wednesday. This show will be live on Spotify tomorrow at noon, and you can watch the show anytime on YouTube. And until next time, I'm Jesse.
I'm Nigel.
You've been sitting at the grown-up table. Thank you, and have an awesome night, everybody. Take care. All right. Keep watching.